name's David Tate, and you are watching this video because you are a collaborator. And I'm going to try and teach you in as short a time as I possibly can some of the ins and outs of editing the 3D Matterport virtual tour. Now, we'll get right into it and start recording. Here we are. Now, the first thing you will have been sent was an invite to be a collaborator, and that is so that you can log in to the Matterport website. Now, obviously, you'll get to the Matterport login and put in your password and your login details. I encourage you to write that down and keep it in a safe place so that you can refer back to it. So when you need to log in and edit a virtual tour, that you can do that quite easily. So you'll get into the Matterport screen first if you want to follow along with me and log yourself in. I'm going to go to a Matterport scan that I've done quite some time ago and show you how this is done. So first of all, we arrive at our screen, and the first thing I want to show you is details. Details is very, very important. So you go into the details tab right here, and you can see I've typed in the name Beautiful. Well, you can type in the name of the property, the address, or whatever you want to call that. Be creative and use some marketing tools and ideas for the name. Presented by, obviously, you want to put the agency name there, or the agent and the agency's name, and then the contact phone number, whether that's the agent or the office number. Then you'll put the contact name and the contact email address. I put a description in the summary, but that may not be the description that the agent would like to see in that summary. So you've got the choice to edit that when you get here to the detail screen. Also, this URL right here, this is for the URL of the listing on your website. So copy and paste that URL. That's the www address that goes into that field. Now that's very important because Google looks at all of these things, and you get ranked higher in Google, obviously, if things are linked together. So that's very, very important. Going down on the screen here, the address, again, that's very important. Get the address correct, the full address that I'm using here, and then you want to go down to the bottom and enable. Make sure that these are enabled so that you can share to social media, and you can also share the VR sharing. So those are very important. Then, if you've changed something, obviously, then I can save that. Now, the next thing I want to go up to is this share button. This is very important as well because this is where you get the URL. Now, when I first get this, it's always on private. I always check that shareable, but in case I've forgotten that or missed it or something, I mean, I can make mistakes too, make sure that that shareable button is clicked. So then no matter who you send the URL to, they will be able to view this virtual tour. You can copy the link here, but I also send you the link in an email, so you'll have that link. But that's where you can obtain the link. This embed link is very important because if you're wanting to put these virtual tours into a website so that it doesn't take people away into the Matterport site, That's what the embed link is. Anybody who builds websites understands what an embed link is. You've got options there, and obviously there's some boxes you can tick and things. You probably don't need to go into that at all. I've already done that pretty much for you. I don't think you can invite collaborators. I'm able to do that, and that's how I invite you to be able to edit this particular virtual tour. That will show up, the details show up in this screen right here. That shows up on the virtual tour, and in fact with the URL, and you can click on that URL and that will take people directly to your website if they want to look at the listing as well. That's where those details end up showing up. Very important to have those all correct in there. We'll go back into edit mode. And by the way, to maneuver your way through, you can, with your mouse, you can left click and hold and turn if you want. You can click on these little dots and it will take you to the locations where I did the scan. You'll figure that out as you go along, I would expect. Now, this right-hand column here is where I would like to go next. The first one on the top is a start location. Now, the system automatically chooses that. I may edit it, but this is the start location, and I usually pick that start location for the first location of creating my walkthrough video or the show reel, the highlight reel. So if we go down here now, and if you want to choose something different for that location, you simply go to the location and then hit this set bar, and will set a new highlight or first image where the virtual tour starts from. So anyway, I usually choose that image as my first image in the highlight reel. So if you click on that little up and down arrow, that will show you what the images are in your highlight reel. That highlight reel is right there. That's how you get to it. And you can change anything that I have already created. But just to let you know, I do create that for you. The first image then is usually set as the start location. And then the second image that I go to is usually, and the third image is usually these dollhouse views. Now that's the dollhouse icon in that lower left-hand corner. So I can go to the dollhouse view, and you'll notice that that little red dot is, and I zoom in and out with my wheel on the mouse, that little red dot is the location and the pivot point for that dollhouse view. So if I want to change the pivot point to something a little bit more central, I may pick this location in the kitchen, go back to my dollhouse view. Now the pivot point is in the kitchen there. It's a little bit more central. So, and it can center your image a little bit better. You can choose that, and when you're on your highlight reel, then you add that view, and obviously that view ends up in the show reel. Now, before we get too far in the show reel, I want to also show what I do with this little pencil. This is an edit pencil, and I always click on the edit pencil and choose walkthrough so that it appears between the slides as if the camera is actually moving through the property. I like that view a little bit better. The slideshow is just clicking on slides, and you never know exactly how you got to that next slide, so that's why I use the walkthrough. I also, once I've chosen that walkthrough, I always make apply to all, and then I also may change the pan angle to 30 degrees or 35 degrees. That's just when the camera ends up into the position in the room, it's the amount of area that is actually panned in that view. 30 to 35 degrees, I think, is plenty for people to see in that view. I'll show you an option a little bit later how we can create a 360-degree view of that room and how you can use those images on social media. So once all of that is applied, and then you can click Done. And like I say, I have created this slideshow. So once you're finished with the slideshow, your show reel or whatever you want to call it, then here we go. Now I'm going to put that down. And also, when you're sending the video or the virtual tour out to clients and vendors and suggesting they have a look at it, suggest to them that the auto play button is in the lower left-hand corner. Most people will find that pretty easily, and if you play the auto play button, then obviously that's going to go through that whole walkthrough of the property. The next thing I want to talk about a little bit here is this Medi Tag. And I think the Medi Tags are very, very important, because with the Medi Tags, you can actually answer potential buyers' questions before they even ask them. Now, you might want to get together with the agent and have the agent list a list of features of the property, and some of that might be the appliances in the kitchen, what bench tops are made out of, what splashbacks are made out of, possibly if a laundry is a European style laundry. I don't scan inside of cupboards and laundries if they're very small spaces, so you may want to use a Medi Tag just to highlight that space and show them where that is so that they know what's behind the doors. Walk-in pantries, I usually scan at the doorway to them, or butler's pantries because they're big enough. But if it's just a pantry cupboard, you might even want to just put that in there as well. So the Medi Tags are real important. Now, you can link all kinds of websites and video to these Medi Tags as well. So we'll go into the Medi Tags, and I've got a couple of them already created here. Simply that tab shows you what's done, and you can see these Medi Tags already here. Now, I've colored them as well, and you can see there's a video that's linked.
Today we're going to talk to you about how to adjust the temperature of your refrigerator.
So there's a video that's linked to this Medi Tag. Now, that's simply done, and we'll create one more here. Let's just create one, and let's say, for example, we want to create one for the, so we push the plus button, and then go to the countertop here, and or maybe the splashback. There we go. Now, you can title it Splashback. Splashback, and then just whatever you want to put in there. But this right here is for media. So if you want to grab, like I did for the fridge, a YouTube URL or something that describes a little bit about this particular splashback, you can go do that and then put that link into here, which will show up when people click on that Medi Tag. Or you can change the color of the dot. Or if there are links to the dot, now I've just gone out of that, we go back into it, edit, there we are, and then we can edit, we can put a link so that that takes them to a particular website or whatever you want, you want them to describe this particular meta tag in details. And obviously this is to hide the Medi Tag. And then you can also stream here. So there's a lot you can do with these Medi Tags. And like I say, they're very important, I think, to be able to highlight features in the property and help to answer questions before they ever are asked. So that's Medi Tags. Now, the fourth one up from the bottom is the measuring tool. I'm not going to go too much into detail with that. A measuring tool shows up on the virtual tour itself as this little ruler. So you can, again, tell your potential viewers that if they want to measure things like fridge spaces, by the way, you can Medi Tag the fridge space to tell people how big the fridge space is. That's a common question, obviously, when people are looking at properties and they can't physically get there. So you can tell them that they can use this, or you can Medi Tag that space and give them the measurements, but they can go through the virtual tour, stop at an image, and then actually measure a space with the little ruler, which appears down in this section as well for the viewer. Now, there's also labels. I'm not going to go too much into the labels. The labels are basically designed for these floor plan views. You can push the label and then decide if you want to create a label for a room plus, and then let's say we put the label right here for, well, kitchen. Kitchen. Done. And then you've got a kitchen label in there. I don't particularly like to use these floor plans too much for anything because I think that the stick floor plans, line drawing floor plans that are created, as well as the three-dimensional floor plans, are much more visual and give people a perspective of the size of an area. So I'm not too keen on using these floor plans, but that can be done with tags. And I believe, no, yes, they will show up in the dollhouse view as well. So the next thing up is photographs. Now, I like the photographs, and this is how you actually can go through a property and create the virtual tour. But you can also create panorama shots. Now, the panorama shots are great when you get into a large area. Let's go down here into this lounge room and dining area. So we want to create a panorama of this whole room. Again, I like to get my vertical straight up and down. The panorama is clicked. Then all you need to do is push that button to take that image. You might want to go into the kitchen. And again, we're here. So make sure my verticals are pretty much straight up and down, and then push the camera, capture that image. I'll show you where those images are. In fact, what we'll do is we'll do a floor plan view like that and capture that. That's two-dimensional rather than a panorama. Okay, so the next thing we'll go and touch base on is the 360 degree. Now, I didn't take any 360 degree images, but I have the capability of doing that with the Matterport camera. And in some cases, if patios or outdoor entertaining areas are too sunny to be able to include that in the virtual tour, I can still do a 360 degree capture, and we can incorporate those into our virtual tours, and that's what that's for. So enough said about that. This will show you where all of the scans are by clicking on those little dots. It shows you how many scans that I've done of this property, 51 obviously. And you can relabel those, or yeah, there's things you can do, and I don't think that's too important either. The flag at the top, like I said, that's start location, and if you want to change that at the very beginning, you can go to your start location and you can choose. You can see that was the lounge room for the start location, and if I want to change that, we can go into this kitchen area, choose this as a start location, and set that. So that will be your new start location. Once you're completely finished with your editing process, that takes a little while to save, by the way. So there we go. You push this little X here. That's to get you out of the edit mode, all right? Once you're out of that, you want to publish it. So publish everything that you've done so that you save all of your edit functions that you have done, and then you exit. See this over on the left, exit, and that will take you back out to your virtual tour. Now, the downloads, we all covered the add-ons, the details. The downloads, that's where the images are that we took, those 360-degree images that we took. They are all here. You download those images to your computer by simply pushing that down arrow. And then that is the Matterport view that we took. Sorry, the dollhouse view that we took. And then this one is the floor plan view that we took. And again, by ticking the boxes on these, you can download whichever images. And if there aren't images that the photographer has taken that you think are particularly spectacular, you can generate extra images through this Matterport process, so and get them through the downloads. There's one other area that I want to go through, and that is the statistics. Now, the statistics are very, very important for the vendor, obviously, because the vendor is going to want to be interested to know how successful the 3D Matterport has been. So if you can report to them and tell them that, yes, we have had 336 unique visitors to the 3D virtual tour, but not only that, there have been 455 different visits. So obviously some of that 336 have come back a second or even a third time. Now, the 2,861 impressions are all of the different places that they have clicked in that virtual tour. So that's pretty incredible. And fantastic numbers that you can get back to the vendors to show them how successful these 3D virtual tours are. Very, very important end of it, which is the statistics. So that gives you some basics on how to make this 3D Matterport more effective in the back end and go through some edit processes. This can be changed anytime you like throughout the process. The URL does not change, only the effects on the virtual tour will change. So, I hope I was able to teach you a little something. It lasted a little bit longer than I expected, but please, if this was useful and you learned something from it, give me the thumbs up on my YouTube video, and I'll appreciate that very much. So, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call. Thank you very much.